everybody, welcome to Red Tool House. In today's video we want to talk about how our chicken pasture setup that we've used for the last, what's it been, 2 years?
2 years.
Has been an absolute bust. So we're going to change yet again. Okay, for those of you that have watched our channel enough and seen us document this the last couple years, this was our attempt. We had first tried free ranging. How did free ranging work, Kelly?
Not so well. Well, we started with free ranging in a smaller coop and just allowed the birds to go pretty much as far as they wanted to, and so they did. They went far into the woods, and we just had more and more picked off by predators.
Yeah, so what we had to do is we decided we were going to try to do confined quarters, but do 2 pastures. So I'm standing here at the entrance of pasture number 2, which is about 5,000 square feet. It's 100 by 50. It tapers a little in the back, so it's not exactly 5,000. This one that Kelly's standing in is exactly 5,000 square feet. We had the chicken coop here, and I could open one door or the other in the morning to allow the chickens to get into pasture A or pasture B. Well, you can see right now it looks like the surface of the moon. It is covered in chicken poop. There's hardly any grass. We did one video where we talked about the horse nettle that had taken over this area. So it's been a real issue. So what we've discovered, so what were the failures of this? Why did it not work? I still think it would be an effective process, but it just didn't work for us because of these reasons. Well, the first issue we had was these trees, and of course this time of year you can't see it, but these trees, when they're laden with leaves, lean over this pasture. This is south facing, so we had a lot of shade that would fall here, so we really didn't get a lot of sun during most of the year.
And having the birds on this pasture during the winter months where we're not getting any grass growing has just really torn this place up. But with all of the poop for 4 months has just covered up any kind of growth here.
So another issue that I've seen is obviously with the quality of the grass to begin with. Again, since this was shaded, it wasn't the greatest pasture grass, and this was a really rough area actually. There used to be a mobile home that sat right here, and lots of garbage, lots of issues. So to come and clean all that up, we ended up scraping off a lot of topsoil. And of course it's funny, the chickens even unearthed some stuff. So just looking down, I see that here's a piece of porcelain that's most likely, what do you think that is? That looks like the lid to a toilet. So yeah, it's the beauties of reclaiming an abandoned piece of property that's been trashed for the longest time. So we'll have to put that there for right now, but we'll pick that up. Little toilet piece. What else, Kelly?
Well, the number of birds that we've had on this particular area has just been too many. We probably had 100
yeah, I think
birds,
100, yep.
And it's just too far gone for that number to support that number of birds. Yeah,
so even though we've decreased in number, we're now down to about 60 because Cam has his chickens in a separate spot, a little area we're testing again. It's just been too much pressure on this, and you can see we've got a lot of imbalance with our soil quality, so we're getting a lot of weeds. This whole area is all horse nettle. I've done a video about that, how we had to try to eradicate that. So our plan would be to obviously move the chickens. I think I'm going to leave the coops here simply because it's a nice building, it's close to the house. I do have electric down here, so that'll probably end up being our brooder. So I could use that as a brooder to brood chicks, so I don't have to necessarily tear that down or move it. I'm sick of moving that thing. I think I've moved it 4 times now. But we'll take down all this fence, all these T-posts, and that will allow us to clear it out. Of course, T-posts, gates, fence, I'll always have use for that elsewhere, so it's not like I'm going to throw that out. But we'll just let this ground lie fallow, maybe even reseed it. It's got tons and tons of nitrogen, a little too much nitrogen in it. So it should grow some pretty good grass once we get it balanced again. And I think once it comes back to pasture grass, it should be a pretty nice little area.
Yeah, and once this heals, it should be pretty lush, and maybe we can run Cornish cross on this in the chicken tractors that we have.
Yeah, that would be the plan. We may have to wait a year. We'll just have to see how it goes. Again, I'm still going to have the tree issue, but with the Cornish cross and the chicken tractors, it won't be putting all this pressure on the whole area all at once. So we can, this is the shadiest area back here where the chickens are now, so we can even hold off in putting the tractors there as much, keep them here on the front end.
So what's the plan? in the spring, we're planning to have a mobile unit similar to Salatin's that we can move around to different areas and then surround with the poultry netting.
Yeah, years ago I wanted to go with that first, but I just wasn't quite sure how I was going to pull it off with all of our uneven terrain. Salatin has the benefit of hopping on a tractor and driving from point A to point B, and he's not going up the side of a mountain. With here, I have to figure out strategically where I'm going to move it, and now that we've cleared additional areas, I think we can do that and get the pigs off some areas that I now have chickens on. So I think that's going to allow us to do that. But in the meantime, in the wintertime, we're actually going to utilize this. So you guys, again, if you've watched the channel for a while, you've probably thought, hey Troy, you ever going to do anything with that, or even going to discuss it? Well, this is a what I consider a makeshift hoop house or a greenhouse. It's not technically a greenhouse, but it's a hoop house that we built, and I think we started this last year, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think it is having its birthday. In fact, yeah, I think we did our solstice video standing right here. But anyway,
That's how things work on this channel.
shut up. So the plan is, you can see we've made it out a 1/2-inch conduit. There's a story behind it. I shot a ton of video all last winter of building this and why we were making the choices, and really haven't used it, and probably won't, because now that we have the mill, I would have done this completely differently. But since we had what we had, I had all this extra conduit, so I built this. I've got the greenhouse plastic to stretch over it. We just need to build the ends. And now that I've got the mill, I'm going to mill the ends. We'll have some doors. Okay, so the plan with the chickens then would be to, obviously once we get the greenhouse plastic on, we get the ends closed in, then we'll bring the chickens in here. This is, do you remember how big this is? I don't remember. I think it's 25. Yeah, it's 25 feet long, and I think it's 15 or 18 feet wide. Yeah, I think it's 18 feet wide. I don't remember. It's been so long. But anyway, something along those lines. So it'll be a nice enclosed area. We get a little bit of sunlight right now. It's a cloudy day, but this time of year the sun is dappled through the trees. So there will be some solar heat that comes from this. And as you can see what Kelly's standing on. What are you standing on, Kelly?
Pile of wood chips.
Yeah, so we're going to embrace the wood chips even more than we already have. And we've got plans to bring in a chipper, and we're going to just chip a ton of wood chips. Have deep litter here. Chickens will be able to hang out. We'll have some freestanding roosts, some freestanding nesting boxes, and then we'll have a people door here and probably a pop door for the chickens to come out, and put our electric poultry netting here past where Cameron's standing with the camera. So we've got this little grassy area here right along the creek. Obviously I'll move my utility trailer. So with our 167 foot of poultry netting I think we have, we'll be able to have this. It'll be a sacrificial area. I know this will get eaten down in the wintertime, but it'll give them the opportunity to get outside, not be completely confined to the greenhouse, but allow them to move around. So they'll have some outside, they'll have all the deep litter in here, they'll have the warmth from that. And then the plan here, anyway, we're going to start building pretty good compost piles and do some different things gardening wise. So the plan is to have them winter here, and of course when it's time to move them out and get them mobile, then we should have some pretty supercharged compost in the greenhouse with the wood chips and the chicken manure all working together, that nitrogen carbon really kicking to make some good compost. So that's the plan, right, Kel?
Plans always sound great.
They do.
Big plans.
They do. But here we are, what is it? It's first week of December. So the chickens really should be in here by now, but somebody still has yet to build the ends. So instead of, like I said, instead of showing all this documentation how we built this, there's really not a lot of detail to it other than it's just a frame at the bottom, 2x4s coming up to make this half wall, 1/2-inch conduit. Again, most people don't use that small a conduit. We had a bunch of it, so we thought we'd give it a try. But I'm going to come back and reinforce. We'll get all these lined up with some sideways conduit. I'll even mill a center beam over my door, because we'll do a full door header and everything. So we'll do a center beam with the mill and go all the way down, and probably end up having a center post right now in the wintertime when we have to worry about snow load, and close all that in. So we'll document that. We'll document what we mill. We'll document building that, and may even back up in detail just the conduit a little bit, how we bent it and why we bent it the way that we did, and how we found the connectors and stuff. But I don't want to spend too much time on that, because again, it's not the way that I would recommend building it now that I have a mill. A lot of story to it, but that's our plan. We'll document that, and we'll move our chickens for this will be the 4th iteration of our chicken egg setup.
Sounds good.
Who knows? All right, take care, everybody. Last couple years, this was our attempt. We had first tried free ranging. How did free ranging work, Kelly?
What? So what's the plan? In the spring, we are planning to have a mobile poultry. Quit doing that! Why do I do that every time?
You bend. You're very bendy.
I'm very bent. I can't get. There's eggs everywhere. Why are they everywhere and not in the thing?
I don't know.
I wanted to get a barred rock.
I'm documenting this exciting adventure. Can Kelly grab a chicken before it plucks her eyes out?
Oh, settled. All right. Okay.